And now we have Teaching Tuesday by Kate, which is more of an office hours. Am I correct?
Right. I'm going to hop off. I've got 2 little ones building a train station, I think. So.
Very cool.
All right. Have fun.
Yeah, well, wasn't Abby helping?
I feel like that was Noah saying it was all me. Okay.
Undivided attention, right?
So does anybody have, maybe I'll hand over to Twinton. Does anybody have any issues that they want to raise coding wise? Bye, Vinny.
Bye,
The
Vinny.
issue that I was talking with Quentin about in the channel, I resolved. I figured it out.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I
Is there anything you want to
I didn't write a message. I can explain. I didn't write a message yet, but I can explain what I. Basically, I just added an else statement. Well, okay. So context, if anyone wants to know, for the expenses, there's the form asks for many expenses, itemized or like specific named expenses, and then I divided them into categories, and then I made a control screen for the categories so they can click on and selectively show the actual individual expenses. And I wanted to hide the expenses that they didn't click on in the control screen. It kept asking for all of them anyways. And that's because I set the default value inside the question block and not inside the question order block. So I had to make an if statement to conditionally call the variables in the question order. And then I had to add an else statement to set the variables to 0 if they weren't asked for. And that solved the issue.
That's a good idea.
I don't know if that explanation made any sense. I haven't vocalized it yet. So.
Is this too much? Should I just go have a look at the channel and see what the issue was?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You don't have to do it. I'll just have a look at that, and then we've got the answer recorded there.
I was just seeing what was there.
Okay, perfect.
I think maybe it'd be
so there's some better context.
I think maybe it'd be worth adding a lesson to the lesson list of like common bugs people run into, like a question continues to be asked over and over again despite the fact that, you know, the coder feels it has been sufficiently answered.
Right. Well, I learned that from Sam, who learned it from one of you. So the information does travels pretty slowly. Yeah.
And even after a couple of years of doing this, I still run into that sometimes. So.
Me too.
I mean, the documentation on how to do like logic flow for questions, there's not much there that I found useful for my questions.
Very good. Good to know. Yeah.
Like I'm not sure what it said about about if statements to influence question order.
And where are you looking, Eric? You mean like on docassemble.org or?
Yeah, docassemble.org docs interview logic.
Okay.
You know, the other thing that would be helpful is that, Mia, I don't remember what the problem was, but it was a sort of a layered show if. So it was sort of show if this is true, and then another, and it was show ifs and with a JavaScript show if in it too. And I can't remember. Mia, do you remember what the exact example? Anyway, she figured it out, and it would be really cool to add that to what Eric's talking. Just in terms of different examples of when you want to use show if, and it was like this layered thing. So if this shows, but this isn't true, it was a very cool problem, and she did a good job figuring out the answer. But I don't remember exactly what it was.
Okay, yeah, I can send that to Eric. Or do you want me to post that in the coding channel?
The coding
you
channel.
can put it in the thread.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you for that. That would be helpful.
And Eric, if you have thoughts of other things you ran into, it's actually really good that you are coming in after other people learn and can talk with other people and see the problems they've solved. Things that should be documented more, because obviously we want to do that, not just in videos, but also in like the first written source people would look.
Right, sure, yeah. Yeah, I can think about putting together a list.
And we've documented that the list collect at this point, there's no way to limit it, right? Is that a document? Is that documented somewhere, or is
Oh,
it just
good question.
is it just in Slack?
I don't
I
know.
think that now the official documentation, I might say that now.
Okay.
I can't remember.
You could look it up.
Because I think that that's really, to me, with everybody, that's always the big thing, is just collecting information. And now there are 3 ways to collect, but you can't limit the list collect. And that's, I think that's just something people that you just struggle with and struggle with and struggle with, and then you get to the other side. But you shouldn't be struggling with something that's impossible to do.
Right. I also had to
Yeah.
figure out that combo boxes don't work in this collect.
Yeah, that
Just
one too. Yeah.
They actually do now. That was
They
just
do now.
fixed by Jonathan.
Just FYI, that's all of coding, but also docassemble. There's
Sure.
like there's plenty of stuff you'll run into in the world that you can waste plenty of hours on.
Well,
If
we
you-
don't
if you
want to
run
wait.
into-
We
if you
want
go
to
into
as
JavaScript,
little as
let us
possible,
know.
right?
Yeah. If you start working in JavaScript, let me know, because there's a few there I can mention.
I've posted the forms in the doc assembly in the main channel. So if anyone is looking to do something today, that would be really helpful to do. As I said, the first one is going to be group 1. And then the remainder are individual forms. So even Mike and Mia that you were staying on, it would be really helpful just to have that information from you as well. And Eric, you too, that would be really great. Obviously, some of the answers, and I don't think any of the answers are required, but, just use your discretion, please. Okay, any other coding questions for Quentin?
I mean, I have plenty, but
Mhm.
And I'm always
kind of
aware of like
different-
hogging. Like I don't want it to be like a personal one-on-one.
we should have like a place where people can just like list them, and then so that there's
That's
no
a
like
good
pressure.
Take a doc center interview to collect questions.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't think anyone has to worry about hogging, but yeah, definitely encourage students or other new people to ask them first, but then we can go into the questions that either Michelle or May that you have to.
I know something a lot of people have run into is trying to do the multi-user thing. And we can talk about why that doesn't work if there are no other comments or questions. Or I can ask about, just watching you experiment with session local and see what that looks like, so that I don't have to do it. But
Those might be those
floor.
might lose people a little bit, but
Yeah.
you're saying people have tried implementing the multi-user signature collecting and
Yeah,
have questions
specifically
about it.
Mia, and I think maybe someone else, but Mia especially for Sinead and Finola's form, where it is necessary to collect the client signature. I open up the floor again, just saying.
I wouldn't be able to be as helpful for that one, but that's okay. That might mean that it's
Okay, sure.
Michelle, did you want me to ask about that?
I might, if there aren't other questions that are kind of on a more common level, more people will be running into, which I think Maeve might have one, or if someone else has one.
That might be something that if I ever get back in touch with Gordon, is that the motion to dismiss and vacate default judgment in housing. Well, Quentin, you would know, you might have multiple defendants. Couldn't you have those defendants filing the motion together and getting other signatures?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for any of our forms, there's almost always a chance that there are multiple people who are using it together.
Well,
but you're right. In most of the cases, there's only one plaintiff, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, you wouldn't use it mostly for a lot of the probate and family courts. Kate's saying that those would be unique.
Single person.
Right,
Yeah.
each complaint would be unique. But I was just thinking about just like the eviction moratorium, you may have co-tenants in the default judgment in housing, right?
Yes, that's true.
So none of them showed up. And so you might want, I mean, does that
Right.
make sense? Would you have several defendants filing that motion?
You could, I mean, and then there's a question of how likely are they to not be able to be in the same room to sign it, but which is very possible.
Yeah.
Depending on like how careful they're being about COVID. So that makes sense.
And work schedules.
And work schedules, yeah.
I think let's try to see if there are any kind of more common issues first, though. But that's a really good point. I mean, I didn't know. So that's good to know.
So my common issue, or maybe it's just my issue, is we accidentally put our repo in the MA virtual
Court.
Yeah. And we want to transfer it out without losing the kind of commit. We don't want to, you know, it'd be easy just to copy and paste that code and put it in your repo, but we don't want to lose the history on it. Is there a way that we can do that, transferring it out nicely?
Yes. So what I would recommend there is that we do a GitHub fork.
Can I share my screen? Because I'm still not like 100% au fait with all the terms.
Sure.
Can we take time? Can we just do it now? Can we just do Maeve's problem now? I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't see why not. I was going to say, what I would normally do would be to download then the repository and manipulate it on the command line a little bit, or not necessarily on the command line, but to delete files. But we can totally do that through the GitHub interface. So there's no reason we have to do that way.
Yeah.
Docassemble.
For Docassemble, I think will cause problems actually.
Not the fork, but I mean pulling the fork afterwards. What I'm saying is that it can hook up to Docassemble fairly easily that way too.
Deleting files from the repository that you don't want to have in there anymore. That's what I found to be challenging.
I'm just saying the whole process can work just between Docassemble and GitHub. That
without using code,
without using the terminal
command line. Yeah,
we never have to use the terminal, but we do have to at some point delete files before we pull the package into Docassemble, because otherwise it'll create a little bit of a mess with the files.
I think we also need.
Can't you delete the files? When I did it before, I deleted the files in Docassemble.
And that worked for you?
Yeah, I deleted. It was tedious, but I deleted every file. I open the file, delete it in the Docassemble editing screen, and then it was no longer in the package, and then I could push it to a new package.
You can push it, but if you pull, then you will get the other files back. We'll show you. They're like, I call them zombie files, but
yeah.
The other thing is that I believe you need to deselect them from the package page at this. Before you
okay, so we're going into describing the problem before we have anything on the screen, so let's just give it a try.
Yeah.
Okay, so
let's start at the beginning and then we'll see what things we're into.
I'm logged in. Yeah.
Yes, and we can see the same thing as you. So all right, so a fork is when you make a copy of the repository in your own, well, it doesn't actually have to be a fork into your own private GitHub area. I'm not sure what that's called, your account profile, but can be. So let's go ahead and start with that. Let's go ahead and click the fork button at the very top. Let me get a little arrow.
What is it?
The very first step.
Top right, where there are those three.
Top
We're
right.
annotated.
Got it, thank you. Okay, I clicked it. Thank you.
All right, so this is making the fork.
And the fork
just refresh, it's already made.
A fork is a copy.
Okay.
Copy that has all of the same history.
So now this is in my
yours. It's your repository.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So the very first thing we're going to want to do is to change the name. So to do that, we go to the settings menu.
Love these annotations. Yeah.
And there's a little lag. So you can change the name right here, repository name.
And what should I change it to? What we're calling our.
Yes, but keep the Docassemble dash part because that's actually something Docassemble uses.
Okay. So we're doing civil action cover sheet. How should we, what's the kind of...
That's actually a good name, I think, just without spaces and use Pascal case too, so capital letters.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and click rename. So the name does get stored in a couple other places, which maybe, Michelle, is where you're jumping, but let's get to that when we get to that part of it. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is, I believe we should be able to delete some files from inside the GitHub interface. I think this is going to end up being easier than any of the other choices, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's try that. Let's go in. We're not going to change any of these files here. Let's go to the docassemble folder. This is actually a really nice way for you to see the structure of a docassemble package as well.
Okay.
So everything starts at that docassemble folder, and then there's one that has the name of your repository. And then data.
We can delete some of these too. We don't want.
Yeah, we could delete a lot of those, actually, all the function, the Python modules. And then questions is where all of your YAML files live.
So this is where we're saying we can delete all the ones that are not the civil action cover sheet.
Yes, and there are quite a lot, aren't there? So
is there a way to
I'm not seeing a delete button,
Yeah.
but let's try. If you hover over it, you get a little ellipses, I think, right? No, there's not.
You can delete it inside the file, but it's just a bit annoying. But you can.
You have to open it to do that.
You can delete it if you open it. So go ahead.
If you
and click
open
on
the
one
file,
of
you
them.
can
Yep.
delete it. Okay.
Here.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there's a trash
nope,
icon there,
there's a
but that's a one-by-one thing. So this is where maybe we don't have to go too overwhelming, but it might be worth showing people. The other problem is then if you try to do this in docassemble alone, you're going to have the files coming back, and I don't think that's a very good experience for anybody.
You have to do it. I believe you have to do it in both places, but I could be wrong.
We did it in one place and it worked, and I thought it was in docassemble, and then we just, whatever.
Well, if you might have been using GitHub on your computer too, right? I don't know for sure, but
I can't remember. We did it last year. I just
So-
don't remember.
so now
But
you
I
have
do
to
remember
add a
we had to do one by one.
Let's just try it. So add a commit message that says, remove unnecessary file or remove MA virtual court file or whatever.
this is deleting the file. Okay, so yes, it says that this file was deleted.
Copy that because you're going to do it a bunch of times.
I don't think we're going to want to do this like 40 times. So
I hear you.
Worst teaching Tuesday ever.
We can open the terminal, but like
we don't need to use the terminal. There's actually there's a really nice graphical client for Git, which I think might be worth having people. There's going to be other kind of more advanced things. That might be more helpful for people than seeing us delete the same file 40 times. We're trying this.
Then let's download the desktop.
Files come back. Yeah, let's
have the desktop.
How about we pick one master teacher and do it one way, and then another time we have another teacher and do it another way.
But I say just commit this.
It's like mom and dad are fighting or something.
Just to have that experience, and now we can go. Quentin can take over.
Do you hear Caroline's point? I think that she's right, Michelle. I'm gonna just.
I just said that so that Quentin can take over.
Okay. So you have the Git client on your computer already.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this isn't actually as big of a deal to do then, because it's actually pretty straightforward to use. If you already have it installed, we're not doing that part.
Is it that?
Yes, that'll work just great. Sure. And I believe it's going to be logged in already, which is also nice because you should be able to see your own repositories.
So it should be. It should change that name, right? Or is it okay?
So we're not going to want to use this one that we're seeing on Suffolk LIT Labs. We're going to actually want to use. So it might not actually be logged in. I could be completely wrong about that. What happens if we go and see this repos tab there? Oh no, just set repository. Let's look at file. There's got to be a way to open another repository. Add.
This one?
Let's do get clone.
Clone repository. Yeah.
Okay, now it is showing yours. So this is great. This is what we need. We wanted to do the second one up, right?
That one?
Civil action cover sheet one.
Sorry, yeah, that one, yeah.
And then go ahead and do clone. Clone is what it's called in Git when you make your own copy of the repository, essentially, a local copy. It's not forking. Forking, you're saying I'm going to make changes and they're going to stay always in my owned copy of the code. With cloning, there's an idea that eventually you're going to want to merge it back up, but you don't have to.
But it's not, you're not working on the same thing simultaneously, so it's not like an alias.
Right. It's like you have your own track changes copy you're working in before you decide to merge it.
Okay, okay, perfect. Anyone else want to chat while this this is taking a very long time?
I feel like I've caused enough problems.
It's just difficult listening to two different people.
But Eric said that you're going to appreciate this because you're having some of these issues as well, right?
We have two
Repositories.
we have two question files. It's actually slightly different. I spoke too soon. We have two question files in the same repository. One is 27 days old and is like a deprecated version, but has the right name, and the other one has a silly name, but is the most up-to-date code. And we're not really sure what to do there.
It's very similar. You just don't have
Short-term problem, but it's a long-term issue, I guess.
Let's go ahead and just click the Show and Explorer button, because this is where we're going to delete the files, and you'll see it's a fair amount easier.
Okay.
So we can go to docassemble, same folder structure.
Oops.
Yep, and then questions, and delete everything except for the file that you actually want to keep.
But do I not want basic questions?
Nope. You don't want to have your own copy of it. You're just going to want to keep all of.
Okay.
Yeah, so delete all of those.
Okay.
And then go to do the same thing. And I think you probably don't want anything in any of the other folders other than this one.
As well, right?
Oh yeah, go ahead and delete all the templates. That's what made it take so long, is that you had like 30 megabytes of templates to download.
Oh my God.
Okay, so we want this one. Very nerve-wracking deleting this. Like, what happens if we get up and we're like, oh, that was actually the wrong repo?
remember you've, oh, yeah, the wrong repo.
It's Git. It's Git so that it doesn't matter. We can always get it back.
Okay, so
Oh,
then
okay.
So now let's do the same thing in the other folders, the static and sources. I don't recall if there's anything in any of those folders. But
There might be an
Oh,
image.
right, core emails. That's a good one. Keep the readme.md.
Oh.
I think it's okay. You can undo.
That's okay, and then static.
It's only because of the way that Git handles empty folders. I think there needs to be a file in there.
Okay, so leave the readme here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all of these folders taken care of.
And then up one level and rename, delete all those .py files other than the init.py. So other than the very first one.
What is that? Okay, never mind. Yep.
Actually, I'm trying to decide here. I think it may end up being worth us trying to rename all the folders, and we're going to have to touch a couple of other files to fully get docassemble to know the new package name. Or we might let docassemble do that when we import it.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and try. Let's rename it so that it matches. We're going to rename the top level folder to Civil Action Cover Sheet to match the new name of the repository. Yep.
Okay.
Let's open up that init.py file, because let's just check to see what's inside there. You can use Notepad or VS Code. I think you have already installed, right? So that would work.
Yeah, I've got VS Code. How would I open that? Oh, there.
Visual Studio.
Notepad.
You have
Yeah.
it there. Visual
I'm just
Studio.
gonna open it in Notepad.
Visual Studio.
Notepad is fine too.
This is easier.
Okay, so there isn't anything in here we have to change. I just wasn't 100% sure if I remembered right, so let's close that.
I think it might be at the root.
I think just in the root there are at least two files we're going to change, the setup.py, and then I think the package.json.
So do I open up this?
One, yeah.
Yeah?
Yep, let's go ahead and open that one.
Will it reinstall?
Let's take a peek at these and make sure that they don't have any references to MA Virtual Court. That's what we're checking for, basically. And I'm not 100% sure which ones will. You have file extensions hidden, so that one setup that has a notepad icon, that's actually the setup.py I was talking about. That's okay though. Actually, yeah, an easy thing to do would be to open this whole folder inside VS Code.
Okay.
So you can just right click in the folder and then do open in code.
I still don't have that. I haven't figured out how to. You know how you have it nicely.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I didn't remember it was an option. I thought it was
so I actually
automatic.
have to just open it through VS Code.
That's fine.
Well, if you, yeah.
You can open the folder from inside VS Code as well.
Yeah.
So it's under the file menu. So not open file, but open folder.
Up this one.
It can't
Just hit cancel this from this window.
cancel.
Oh.
And then the main file menu. Just choose open folder is one of the choices there.
Oh, right. Okay. So and then which folder am I opening?
Just this folder, I think. Yep, the civil action cover sheet one. And then hit select folder. And then now you're going to see all the files there, and it's going to be a lot easier for us to switch back and forth on the left here.
Okay.
So let's just check through those and see any references to MA Virtual Court, essentially.
Can you just go
We
find
really only need to go into these first couple in the main level, not in the subfolders. So we'll start with package.json.
Okay, and then what we're looking for this to change to?
Yeah, civil action cover sheet with camel. Interesting that this is
Except
lowercase.
the name doesn't, yeah.
Name doesn't matter?
The name needs to be all lowercase. The rest of them need to be Pascal.
Okay. And we can probably delete this scripts, right? That's really specific to the testing, automated testing. Or do you know if that was something that was added?
Scripts, where are we?
Do we even need this actually? I'm trying to remember. This is in every file.
It's useful to have it. Just for when we do automated testing, it'd be really useful to have it. Mocha tests I didn't add. That's what's added. Oh no, that is added because it came from, I just say leave it for now.
Okay.
There's no harm. And
so changing this name?
That's good. And then everywhere else that MA Virtual Court appears, like stick your cursor in one MA Virtual Court on line 13. So stick your cursor right in the middle of MA Virtual Court. Then do Command D. And do that several times. Or yeah, do Command D until you've got all of them. Repeat it. Yep, keep going. And I mean, do it again and see if it gets another one, but I don't think it will.
We've got everything.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we absolutely have to do this. It might be overkill to do it the way that we're doing right now, but it certainly should work.
Civil
and then
action
I
cover
do
sheet.
wonder
Pascal case.
the URL.
No, in Pascal case. The URL, I don't know if it cares about the URL, but it will then lead to the right URL. So
okay,
you might rely on that to do that little link to link to the package or whatever when you're at the bottom of the GitHub thing.
Yeah, I think that should be okay, but I'm not. But we'll leave that as is. I'm wondering if this is auto-generated from the setup.py, but we'll see. We'll go ahead and save this. The little dot at the top means it hasn't been saved yet. Just to,
sorry, which dot?
Try making another change. You'll see like a little white dot there.
Okay, perfect.
All right, and now let's go and open up. I think really we only need to change the setup.py next, but we can look at the other setup.py CFG as well.
And
Can
here
you
again,
not search all your files for MA Virtual Court?
That's a good point. We absolutely could do that.
Sure. Yeah, search.
We're not going to want to replace all of them though, but
at least see where they are.
You can see where they are, yeah. So this search icon there is actually searching across files.
And does it case sensitive or?
You can make it case sensitive. Type it in with the correct capitalization. And then these icons are really unintuitive, but this little one there, that makes it case sensitive.
Oh, sorry, right. Okay, perfect. So now do I want to click in here and see where the reference is?
Yeah, so we know we want to look at setup.py.
Which I can't, this one?
Yeah.
So any of those lines will take you right to the reference.
Do Command D again. So what I was suggesting is that if we did this in the package in docassemble, you can just change the name, I believe, and save it again. And then
I
it would
think
take
you're,
care of all of this.
yeah, I think you're right about that. I think the part that wouldn't be very easy to do in the playground would be to delete those files and not have them continually reappear, which is really annoying.
Yeah, but that's a separate part of it, right? Separate part of the process.
That was a step that we were on, but it is a very good point, Michelle. You're right. We were on the part where we were trying to get rid of the extra files.
So
We can delete this package -lock.json
and
completely.
do I just press delete?
Yeah. I think we're going to want to do that from the file folder view, which is that top icon there.
Sorry, where is that?
Or you could use Explorer. So where my arrow was pointing.
I lost the, oh, there, here. This?
Yep.
Okay, and then we want this one over here, delete.
I believe it's not going to change the README and stuff. I don't believe it does that automatically.
Why?
Because the README you can edit and it'll keep the changes. Hello.
We're getting
It is
extra
being
cute
recorded,
today.
just FYI.
And these kids don't mind.
I think it's the parents that care.
No, so that's what when I said kids, I meant Quint. Okay.
All right. So this is all we have to absolutely change. And as Michelle pointed out, yeah, I think a lot of this just works when you import it in the playground. Okay. Although I was wondering about changing the folder name. I don't know what your experience has been with that, Michelle.
I think as long as you import it from the repository, you know what? I don't know. Whatever, yeah. It doesn't matter.
It wouldn't hurt to figure out what's the minimal, simplest workflow for doing this, because I think other people will want to repeat it. But this is what, yeah, and this is like something we've kind of just been experimenting with and are learning about, right? So
yeah,
we have to do this for the TRO as well, don't we? Isn't that still in?
It is on our to-do list to do that at some point, yeah. And then the 209A, there's really no reason why that should also be in the parent repository.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so this should be good. We can certainly make the other changes, like to the author name and email in the playground. So there's no reason to mess with those here.
So now, should I navigate back to the
GitHub Desktop client? Yeah.
Okay. Is that
so it's saying 83 changed files, which is great. So we can go ahead and add a commit message down at the bottom left.
Yep. If you want to HTML it for a little bit out.
What should the commit message be here?
So just think descriptively. So what would be a good description of what we just did?
Updated or deleted and updated files. Deleted files and updated other files to make it civil action cover sheet as opposed to MA virtual court.
Yeah, and I would take out the first part just because that's something you can see without having to read the message.
So updated.
And I would say like separated or updated to only be civil action cover sheet, or separated to something like that. It's the purpose that you want to convey in the message.
And does this matter in terms of case or?
No. There is a character limit, which it might enforce there. Docassemble kind of just automatically overflows to the description field.
Okay.
But if it doesn't give you an error, then it's fine.
I think commit to master.
Yep.
Do I have to do anything else?
Committing is different from pushing. Committing means it's saved to your local copy. So now we want to click this push origin button.
Okay. Okay.
And you can see it's giving us little status updates there in this area. So now we can go back into our GitHub website. And you should see that the changes are there now. And we can refresh. Well, this is actually the one that we did about 60 minutes ago. So if we refresh it, it should show the new thing.
Uh-oh.
Oh, because we were on a file that doesn't exist anymore. So let's
okay.
delete the rest of this URL. everything after tree.
Oh, I did something wrong there.
That's okay.
So everything after tree.
We just want to see and delete /tree as well.
Okay, there it is.
And it has our change updated to only the
Okay.
civil action cover sheet. Now we are going to want to transfer it as well, and we might as well do that step because it's also part of the forking.
So now I want to transfer it to Suffolk, right?
It's also from the settings menu. Yes.
Okay. So
this is the right page. We're just going to scroll down to the bottom.
Just so people know, this is also on the GitHub tutorials. The switching to a new repository is not, but GitHub, the transferring is.
do you know this offhand?
Suffolk LIT Lab.
With the capital S, then capital LIT, all one word, capital LIT, so no space.
Yeah. And you can, it says to type it, but you can actually copy and paste it.
Sorry, my video is like down at the bottom now. Wait 1 second. Okay. So now I can just say I understand?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Is she not on the team?
I am on the team.
Well, no, it's saying it has it's got the name still somewhere. You see where it says MA Virtual Court Network. So it's somewhere.
This is interesting. Maybe not like that we have, the fork might not have been enough here.
I don't think.
It already has a repository in the MA Virtual Court Network. I think that has to do with the way that the forks work.
Right.
So if we made it a copy rather than a fork, I think we'd be okay. But that's unfortunate because that means you'll lose all the commit history. So let's see.
You can go into the Git like ref log. I mean, you can like.
I think we could just change the origin actually. So let's look at the GitHub Desktop client one more time. I'm not sure how well this will work, but let's go to.
Not ref log, but you know what I was saying.
Let's see. This is us experimenting real time.
Okay.
So we may not find good answers. Let's look at repository. And repository settings, let's try that. So I think changing the remote would work, but that's not exactly what we want to do.
Might want to change.
We want to change where the remote is considered to be a fork of. And I think this is GitHub metadata. I don't think this is actually something that is a native part of Git. I think it's the way GitHub's implementation works. I'm not 100% sure.
You might want to look at upstream as opposed to origin.
Yeah.
What it's called when it's automatic.
I'm just not seeing that option here under repository settings. So if we can see if there's a menu that might have it, or it might not even be possible to do from the menu. But let's take a look at some of these menu options to see what we can find.
You see, Mia said she's got a question.
Whenever,
yes.
When it's convenient. Yeah. Is it about this or is it about something else?
It's about the page that, well, it's underneath this, the thing it's on the GitHub screen.
This one?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're in the settings page. I don't know if I missed it when you guys said that. Like, I don't have that on my end as like a.
Oh.
You have settings on your.
It stops at insights. I have code through insights and there's no settings.
I believe because you've already transferred it to Suffolk Lit Lab, and there you're not an admin.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Because there is one thing, the notice of limited appearance for the notice, yeah, that form, it's notice of limited appearances, the repository name, and I was trying to figure out how to do that. And I think that's right here is where it would be done.
Right.
Sure.
So just calling that to anybody's attention who
Has access to that.
Yeah, who can do that? Okay.
Perhaps is that something that you could make an issue for? Like, I'm not sure, Quentin, Michelle, if that's a thing like you can make an issue to say like.
Yeah, I think that's a great issue.
Someone with authority or someone with access to settings needs to change the repo name.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to interrupt here. I was just like, why
good
don't I
question.
see that?
I think that's a really good question because a lot of people might have something issues like that where they realize that the repo name needs to be changed.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so back to this. We're just going to go through the file, the menus.
Let's just take a look. So what we really don't care about the fork. What we want to do is keep the history. So now, okay, what I'm seeing is that what we need to do
You might look at
is to contact GitHub support. That's what I'm seeing so far.
Guys, I was saying to Jody the other day, my gran called Netflix on Sunday because she didn't know what to watch, and they actually answered. She's like, I spoke to this really lovely person in America.
You could at least use the help to search for remote repositories.
There is something called change git repository directory location. I don't know.
Where is that?
I think that probably directory means like where it's stored on your local computer. That's how I would.
Yeah.
But it's always worth trying. There's really no harm in just looking through menus and seeing what you can find.
So do we want to try and hit about GitHub, or not about, show user guides and search in there for remote?
Just remote?
Yeah, remote repository, but remote. Managing remote repositories.
So I'm looking.
That's using Git, not using the. I don't believe it's on. I don't believe that's. It says using Git. I don't believe that's the desktop version.
Okay, so this is very much high above my pay grade. So
yeah, I think we're not going to find an easy answer for this actually.
the thing is, I can't even phrase what the issue is. So the issue is that Suffolk LIT Lab already has a repository in that network.
So it thinks that you have the same repository as you forked from.
Right. Okay. So we need to make it new, but that's like I was saying. Then we'd lose the history, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if just changing the package name in docassemble would, because if docassemble uses the name of the package to push to GitHub, I wonder if it would push with all the commits. That's my next.
I think that's a good idea.
You think it keeps track of all of the commits?
As long as you just change the name, as long as you don't create a new package.
It's always worth trying. I mean, I do feel like I've done this before,
and
so it's worth giving it a try.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll actually work. It just depends on how it interfaces.
So now the next step would then be to go into docassemble?
Is to delete this one.
To delete this whole fork? Well, we're going to want to. Okay.
To delete this fork, otherwise GitHub is going to try to push
I can't
here.
answer the two people.
I know, but let us discuss with each other for a second. So give us 1 second. So if she keeps it here, then her commits will be behind. I'm saying like restart by pushing from GitHub from it with a different package name, because otherwise these are their histories are out of line. It might not matter because this one is ahead of the same place, but it might. So I'm just saying start fresh. We can always fork and redo it. It wasn't that much work.
Yeah, I'm just thinking we're going to probably lose the commit history, which is the main benefit of doing it this way. But
We'll always be able to pull from MA virtual courts again to try something else.
I'm just missing where deleting this repository would matter. I think we could try it and see if we keep the history, if we just commit the same files to it. What you're saying is change the package name in the packages menu in DocAssemble, right? To actually change the name of the package.
Yep, I just don't know if it's going to mesh with the changes we have here, because that's going to create a new commit, but it's not going to be in the same history as the changes that we've made in this file.
We might have to give it a different name. So we could try renaming this, since there's no harm really, like we could try renaming this repository to something temporary.
Sure.
Yeah, we could just put really whatever name we want, because we just want to make sure that when DocAssemble tries to push up its,
yeah, sure. That works.
and then we could try, we want to try, see what happens when we change the package name in DocAssemble. I suspect it might not change the name of the repository, but we'll see.
Is there anything that I had to do? I had to pull or something from that repo or that fork?
Nope.
I would make a new project, pull from the original MA Virtual Court into your new project.
I'm just going to call it Civil Action Cover Sheet.
Yep.
I think if I recall the conversation we had with Jonathan correctly, he said this is basically impossible. So,
well, we do know a way to make it no longer considered a fork, which is to contact GitHub support.
Okay.
That is what I found in about like the first 5 pages of the first 5 Google results.
Okay.
So the only way to do it is to have GitHub do it for you.
So here I would pull.
Yep.
From
MA Virtual Court.
Oh no, I've lost it.
Well, it's okay. I think you probably already have it in your menu.
It's just, is it this whole thing?
Yes. So we're gonna click the pull button first, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
And make sure you get your branch.
Master or
your branch.
Oh, that's actually another good point. You're going to end up with a lot of branches that you don't want. So I think that probably the actual way to do this is going to involve doing something using the Git command line tool, not GitHub Desktop, but
I mean,
it might not be good exercise to do online, but we'll try this and see if it works. If it works, that's great.
If it works at all, then I think we can work out the rest.
All right,
or
so
I
let's
have
click
before.
Pull.
So.
So really, the main thing we want to check once you've done this is to see if changing the package name changes anything about the repository when you do a new GitHub commit. That's, I understand, right? That's what you were proposing, Michelle.
Say the question.
You were proposing that we change the package name.
Yep, just update the package name, hit save, and
see if that creates a new repository.
I'm just going to call it temp. Is that okay?
We don't want to call it the same thing. We want to call it something different from the other one. The reason we called that temp is so that you could name this the thing.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
Great. And then scroll down. We don't care about changing anything else because we just want to do this as proof of concept to see if this approach works at all.
Are we going to install?
Nope. Not install. Go
save.
To save and then GitHub. Yeah.
And then here?
Yes.
No. No. You had to write a commit message and then hit commit and see what happens.
So this is like trying to create a new repo.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, we hope.
I'm noticing it already thinks you have it on GitHub, which might have to do with it tracking the fork history, even though you renamed it. So, but we'll see what happens. There's
And
no
then
harm.
commit?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yes.
sure.
So it is possible that deleting the other one will make a difference. Create playground package directory did not exist. So that could have actually mean any number of things that we did wrong.
Okay.
I'm actually not sure what it means yet. It could mean that the package name being renamed didn't rename the other folders, so now it doesn't really know how it relates. It could mean something to do with the fact that we kept the other copy at GitHub.
Should we speak to Gimlet?
To GitHub.
To Gimlet and do
To Gimlet, super tech support.
Media? We'll call Gimlet Media and
Ask,
find out what they have to say about it.
ask PJ and Alex. See what they can do.
What would you do?
Or I could just go to GitHub and write to them and just say, can we say this is not a fork?
Yeah.
I think that would work. Yeah. I think just asking them, and they probably have a form that's fairly easy to submit a request. And
okay, so now if I want to find my fork again,
And rename it again. Probably.
okay.
so I know because of the way Git works, it's like fully decentralized, and GitHub adds their own extra information. But there's got to be a way to remove the fact that it's a fork, say there's a new upstream, and retain the history, because so one possibility is that we just do this offline. I think it's going to take a little research, so it wouldn't be the best thing to do on the call.
Okay.
And then either Michelle or I'm assuming could just give that a try and then figure
Try
out
removing
make this
the
an easy process for the future for other, because we want to do this for at least 2 other
Right.
parts of this repository.
So what should I contact GitHub and say, we want this to be seen as not a fork and its own standalone repository? Is that something?
I think that's worth trying also. Yeah.
Can you give her a page? A link to the page you were looking at?
I was looking at results from like Stack Overflow and Quora and other places where people were asking for help. But let's see if there is a support.
Help.
Yeah. Contact GitHub also. Let's go back, and there was a contact. This definitely looks like it's just static documentation.
Oh, okay.
At the bottom, there was a contact.
Are any of you guys vegetarian? I've just had the best biltong. So good.
What was it?
Biltong. It's like a better version of jerky. It's so good. Who said they're vegetarian? Mia.
I'm vegan, yeah.
You're vegan. Okay, well, sorry, I shouldn't have said it. Okay. So now we're looking for. Should I just contact them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. It's even a shortcut for it. Attach, detach, or reroute forks.
Okay, so from me, my personal, and the subject is detach.
Yes.
Oh, no, Mia, it's not vegan. You've gone biltong.
I want to try that.
Biltong. No, that's, I forgot how to spell detach now. This is embarrassing. Okay, detach, fork. Okay, no, there's none in there. Okay, subject, detach fork. Hi. Do you have to say hi? I don't know. So what am I trying to do? I'm trying to detach. How like should I put the link to the fork or?
I think so.
I would do that. We'll make it easier.
Okay. They probably do have vegan biltong, just FYI.
That's interesting.
They have tuna biltong, so it's honestly just such a nice. I don't know. It's different to. Will this give me the link? It's different to jerky. Ooh. Sorry.
No worries.
It's different to jerky. I can't get this. Heading is like. Okay, so I would like to detach this fork. Okay, and then is it square and then round?
Oh, just write what you want. I would just put a colon and then the name of the. I mean, I guess it is marked down, but I don't think you need it to be. Just
From
put it
its
in.
from its. Okay.
I think
that's
that probably is clear enough, actually.
Yeah,
And that's it.
I've got a process for it. I was wondering if we could ask them if it's possible to do from the command line by just removing upstream, but that's okay.
I think it probably is. I think there's a way to do it because it's really just like your own local database. So if you basically all we care about is keeping, we don't care about issues. We really just want to have the commit history. So it should be possible to make your own, when you have your own copy on your local computer, you have full control over the database. So you can have your own repository before you make any commits to GitHub.
I thought I saw a way recently to just do the whole thing, just to have just do it yourself and have all the issues and everything yourself. But I guess you don't want the issues anyway.
Right. If there are issues, though,
I don't think there are.
that you want to keep, there aren't any. Okay. It is. I did find a way that they've added recently to transfer issues.
Oh no,
from
there
one
were
repository.
issues. There were issues, but I don't think they were vital. I think we primarily communicated through Slack and stuff, so it wasn't like this is something that we wanted to start doing now properly when we transferred it.
Okay.
So I can just send this request.
Yep. Just send it. I think you're good.
No thank yous or anything.
I think you're okay without the thank you.
Okay.
Do whatever you feel comfortable with.
Caroline's pet thing, right? Don't say please and thank you and instructions. You could probably say it in a help request, though.
In help request, yeah. But instructions, don't say it.
Okay, so that's too late.
Please unplug your vacuum cleaner. Please make sure you don't get shocked. Please have the 911 free on your setup on your cell phone.
Okay, so now I'm gonna wait for a response from them, and then I will let you guys know what they say.
Sure.
Yeah, and we could look into other options too. I think this was the best way to solve this for now.
Okay.
Maybe between the next two, we can get some experience trying some things in the command line.
What is the command line?
See what's faster. So Git's graphical client that you are using is just like it has a subset of the features basically that are part of Git. Git is a open source.
Git and GitHub? Yeah,
so Git was created by the same person who created Linux, Linus Torvalds, and he has nothing to do with GitHub at all.
Okay.
GitHub is a implementation of the standard he created.
So Git came first.
Git came first, and GitHub is like a website that lets you access some of the power of Git with some of its own special things.
And also help you collaborate with pull requests. You can't make pull requests with just Git. I mean, you can if you're interfacing with GitHub, but not by itself. And yep, things like that. So GitHub adds some features and leaves out some features.
I can't believe you haven't made it's the difference between docassemble and community lawyer argument.
I did think about that, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. It was helpful to see the process of kind of going through that, and also realize that I should probably be using GitHub on my computer.
Well,
you don't necessarily have to. I mean, the things that work in the docassemble interface are great. It's just when there's things that you find yourself frustrated by or limits, then the local one can help.
Anyway, so thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. I will let you know what GitHub says when they get back to me. I'll be sure to thank them for that message. I want to send them another message and be like, I'm sorry. I didn't say please or thank you. Caroline intimidated me. Okay, cool. So yeah, so if anyone's interested, the difference between jerky and biltong, is that biltong is better. It's just generally, that's the answer. And you get different types of biltong. So what I was just eating was Drovorse. So that's, oh, it's so good. But Mia, how
Do you marinate it? Do you marinate it first and then dry it? Is that how you do it?
dry? I think it's just dried.
Can you type the names into the chat
Mhm.
or into Slack?
Yeah.
But the idea here is it's made of meat, right? It's just a
Yeah.
different way of preparing meat.
I'm
Yeah.
just curious about them. Yeah.
Yes.
We're gonna send Mia to the dark side. So you got biltong, which is South African, and then so people often say biltong is the same as jerky, but it's actually a different process. And you can get different types of biltong. So you get like a Durvo sausage, or you can get like just a hunk of meat that's dried. I think there is some vinegar that it's involved in it.
I think usually you often marinate these things before
Yeah.
you dry them.
I never made it. I just consume it. So, and I consume it very rarely. I think it's more for like when we're watching rugby and stuff like that. But it's a really good snack, and I'll be sure to vacuum pack some. And Mia, I'll bring you some vegan biltong.
Vegan biltong.
Taste it first. Taste it first. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
what am
works
I?
out.
I'm sure. Oh, they do mushroom biltong.
Ooh.
Yeah, they do
My
every kind of
partner-
biltong.
My partner is vegetarian, hates the taste of meat, and he hates that all the options for vegetarians are things like mushrooms. One, because they're trying to recreate the taste of meat,
Right.
and that's what he doesn't like. And two, because there's just so much more interesting food than just mushrooms for people who want to eat vegetables. Just like everybody thinks it has to be meat-like. So,
Mushrooms
but,
are not meat-like, though.
no, well,
Now, an
are.
Impossible Burger, an
Yeah.
Impossible Burger, that's meat-like.
The Beyond Meat is so, I definitely eat that often. It's so good.
No. I don't like the
It might
Beyond
be
as much.
just
The
as-
Impossible I really like.
Well, I don't like the soy that's in the Impossible Burger.
You don't
but
like you don't like the GMO heme?
Yeah, I really
Love GMO heme. It's so tasty.
So Mia,
I
you're
don't
gonna
eat
love.
mammals, so
when you
this is
guys-
my. But I
when you
love the
guys come
taste.
Here, there's a place called Lekker Vegan. That is
Ooh.
the best place, and it's like even if you're not vegetarian or vegan or anything, like you just go there and it's just the best. Like after a night out, like that's where you go. Lekker Vegan. So lekker means nice in Afrikaans, and in
okay.
Dutch I think also it's the same.
I'm just going to point out there's a hard stop at 2. That's why I was
Right, and
popping
we're
back in here.
recording.
Sorry.
I feel like I'm like a spokesperson